The plot to bring down President Trump. Probably the most accurate title of a book in a long time. He joins us tonight. George, thanks very much for coming on. So briefly describe your experience with the woman you believe was sent to spy on the Trump campaign by the Obama administration.
Sure, that's a great question. And I received an unsolicited email in September of 2016 from a man named Stefan Halper, who was suggesting that he wanted to pay me $3,000 to write a report on energy security questions that I was a recognized expert on at the time in Israel, Turkey, and Cyprus. And I looked him up. I'd never heard of him before. I just saw that he had worked in 4 U.S. administrations, and he was a professor at Cambridge. So I accepted his offer. He flew me to London, where he paid a 5-star hotel, my flight. And he said, before I meet with you, I need you to meet my assistant. And he put this assistant in an email chain along with me. And I saw her name was Azra Turk. I recognized it as Turkish, which was a bit suspicious right away because my policy positions throughout my entire career were very hostile to Turkey. So when I noticed a Turkish name, I didn't understand why she'd be involved. But anyways, I went and I met with her, and she was very suggestive, as you could understand. Younger, very flirtatious, and I right away understood that this wasn't a Cambridge assistant. And, she barely spoke English, she was very flirty, and was trying to do 2 things. One, to extract information about my professional connections in the Middle East, and 2, to see if I had any information that she could potentially extract for me about Trump in Russia, which of course is nonsense. And so anyways, after I meet with her, she is then introduced to me again the next day with Stefan Halper, where she goes from this suggestive young lady to now pouring us coffee. And Stefan Halper is very belligerent. I explain it in my book how belligerent he is, how he invited me to basically castigate me about my policy positions. And of course, Azra Turk then took me to dinner and was just basically trying to extract information. I was very suspicious. And, from that moment, I knew there was something wrong, and I was laughing about it. But now, of course, the New York Times reported that she was some sort of agent, but I don't think she was FBI. I think she was CIA.
But she was dispatched by the Obama administration. Barack Obama was the president of the United States, led the executive branch, including CIA and FBI and every other agency, to spy on, in effect, the Trump campaign. Am I missing something, or is that what happened?
That's absolutely what happened, and I want to make something very clear here. I don't think President Trump was tweeting about UK interference out of the blue for no reason last week, because let me explain why. The day I met with Stefan Halper and Azra Turk in London, I was invited by the British Ministry of Foreign Affairs to meet with them at their offices, including with Tobias Ellwood, who was the number 2 at the time under Boris Johnson. So clearly, when the New York Times suggested in their reporting today that the British were told of this operation, I believe the British actually were actively spying on me as well. And I think part of what President Trump was tweeting last week about the British spying was about this involvement in this operation in London. So I guess we have a lot more to find out.